And continuing with exam review, we have an interest calculation question here. And with interest calculation, we have something that is $2 million here with a 5% rate. And the question is saying, given that it's amortized straight line, what is the bond interest expense for this question? So we know that in this situation, we would multiply the face value by the percentage that we have here. This will give us the interest, but it is issued October 1, so we're only doing times 3/12 times 1/4, right? And then in terms of amortizing the premium, including that, we would say the premium is 80 because it's 2 million times 1.04, so the premium is 80,000. We divide that by 10, which is straight line, so the annual premium is 8K, and 8K we multiply by 3/12 to get the right answer. And then we subtract what we got because we're amortizing the premium. So we subtract the product of this less what we received here, and the answer we get is 23,000. In terms of going through the preferred dividend question here, we have a way of figuring out what the par value is, right? So we have the 3,000 times the 50 shares to figure out what is the par value times 6%, right? That gives us what the div would be. So it gives us 9K. That's what the dividend would be. Now they're saying that back last year they only paid 7,500. So they owed us a little bit more. So we have 1,500 that they didn't pay up last year for preferred, right? And now we're saying what's going on this year. Well, this year they're paying 36, so it's enough to cover this year and last year. So last year we had 15 that still owed us, and this year we have 9 that they owe us. So altogether, the preferred divs are gonna get 10,500. Some for last year, some for this year. So the answer is C. In this question for equity changes, we're basically looking to see what impacts equity. If we start with 250, we're saying that with 250 we start, and that's our beginning. Now, if we had income, we add it, right? Treasury stock gain, as we discussed in class, it impacts equity. It does increase it, but it doesn't touch retained earnings. It touches a different account. Now, cash dividend, that's a minus, right? And then a small stock dividend is also a minus. We have to figure out for how much. So that's 3,000 times the $10 par, right? So that gives us less 30,000. So, well, actually, what we do is if a stock dividend, we have to use it at the per market share. So all in all, we're dealing with 250, which is the start, plus 100, right? Minus 60 for the div. I mean, that was the dividend itself. And then minus another 60, which is for the stock dividend. So at the end of the day, we get 350 minus 120 is equal to 230. The answer is A. So continuing with treasury stock here, we went over this a couple times, and when we issue and buy back treasury, the idea is always to look, what was the dollar value we issued at, and then what was the value we purchased it at. Really, it's what the value we purchased it at, and then what are we reissuing it at, right? And how many shares. So it looks like the shares involved here is 20,000. And then the thing that you have to remember, in this account, paid in capital from treasury stock transactions, this account here reflects the gain or the loss, and it gets triggered only when you sell stock. that you previously purchased. So first you purchase, then you're selling. So when you're selling, you have to compare your sale price versus the purchase price. So since you were up by $2 a share, you end up gaining 40,000, and you get C as the correct answer.